In today's episode of Talks for 10, we dig into the archive and bring you an interview with Britain's greatest comedian, Billy Connolly. This interview originally took place in 1985, yet it feels fresh and relevant due to the timeless nature of Billy's storytelling. Enjoy.
You look upon what you do as work?
Yes, I do. Very much so. It's a very dangerous if you don't. If you regard what you're doing as just a normal extension of yourself, one will seep into the other and you'll become quite unbearable. I have some acquaintances like that who can't stop doing their act. When they're off stage, if you take them for dinner, they launch into their act, and that's their work seeping into their normal life. There should be a definite line that you draw. It's very nice being funny when you're at dinner and all that, but it shouldn't be a stage act you're doing.
But don't a lot of people expect that of you? Isn't it a case of, oh, let's get Billy here, or there's Billy Connolly, let's go over and talk to him, he'll tell us a funny story?
Oh yeah, I like to be light-hearted when people approach me and tra-la-la-la-la. But some people are quite frightened of me. I have a strange reputation. So I don't really have to live up to the red nose.
Are you an observer? You must be.
Yes, I am.
And not a voyeur.
I can't help it. I'm an avid people watcher. Although I prefer listening to them. There's a great trick. I don't do so much anymore, but I used to love doing it on the road. I would eat alone in restaurants, and when you eat alone, you should take something to read, because it gets people think you're staring at them, because you usually are. But if you read, you can listen perfectly to people if you look as if you're reading, and it's great to eavesdrop on somebody's conversation. So it's one of the great joys in life, especially if they're not talking about anything that you know about. Suppose the gardeners, and they're talking about variegated leaves or something, or herbaceous perennials, and they're not terribly worried. And it's great to be listening when they don't know you are. It's like when you get a crossed line on the phone, it's wonderful. And it's especially wonderful if they're talking garbage. If they were talking about sex, you would go, oh yeah, what's this? But when they're talking about suppose it was the little boxes that cassettes come in or something, it's great. You feel really privileged.
But presumably by listening to these conversations and watching people in restaurants and what have you, you get material to use on stage.
I do, but not consciously. I don't watch people and say, oh, I must use that instead. I think actors do that more than I do. They'll watch somebody fiddling with their specs and go, oh, I must remember that. Whereas I don't even know I'm doing it. I think after years and years of being the type of comedian and the type of person that I am, I think I just watch people all of the time. And it all goes into my brain and comes seeping out in odd order.
So you're totally unpredictable in your stage act, in that if something comes into your mind, you'll talk about it.
I will just say it, because if I don't say it, it'll go away. If I have a thought and I tuck it to the back of my mind, if that's possible, it'll go away. By the time I get around, I'll start saying, oh, what was that thing I was thinking about? And that'll disturb all the timing. So when I think of something, I just go and say it. And I'll go away off at tangents for hours and hours and come back. I don't know how I get back, but I get back. Sometimes, on rare occasions, in Morecambe, it must be 4 or 5 years ago, I was doing a thing, and it involved a man being in a toilet, right? And then, in the middle of the story, I thought of something funny, and off I went on a tangent. And then the show was finished, and I came out the back door, and there was a few guys waiting to autographs. It's mostly men wait for me backstage. It's mostly women wait for rock and roll people. But for comedians, it's mostly men who wait for autographs. And I was saying, and this guy said, hey, what happened to the guy in the toilet? The man who was... And I thought, my God, I've left him in there. I completely forgot. He said, I'm coming to Blackpool tomorrow night. Are you doing the same thing? I said, yeah. So he came to Blackpool. I forgot him again. I left him. So I was doing a sort of bowing at the end, graciously, and this little voice from the balcony said, what about the guy in the toilet? I said, oh yeah, you're the guy from Morecambe. And he said, yeah. So I had to finish the whole story, and it went really well.
When I was doing Top of the Pops with Peely a couple of weeks ago, and we had to say where your particular record was in the charts, he said, Billy Connolly, the man who's been on so many chat shows recently, it looks as though he's lost the use of his legs.
I thought it was a great
which is brilliant.
Line.
And
Isn't that a great line?
I corpsed. But, it's true. You're at loads and loads of chat shows and all of these awards ceremonies, they invite you to present things.
Yes.
Why do you think it is?
It's because, for two reasons, I imagine. I've never been at the meeting where they choose to choose me, but I can fly a little by the seat of my pants. You know, I can react to what's going on around me. Plus, I don't do the regular television shows. I'm never like I'm often Kenny Everett's guest. But Kenny is a lovely sort of loony man. So things could and hopefully will go wrong when you're doing it and something happens, something else happens. But I'm never like Lulu's guest or Anita Harris's guest. Now, they're both very talented people. You don't sort of last as long as they're doing without being talented. But I'm not that kind of person to come on and do 3 minutes. It takes me 3 minutes to get on. You know, it takes me more than 3 minutes to get to the microphone. You know, so, but the sheer shape of my act and the way I perform, I can't be somebody's guest.
Do you mean that television is very, very safe, or what?
It's terribly safe. It's terribly limited, and time, I think, limits it. And they're into the 3-minute song and the 4-minute comedian. And they like racism and sexism a great deal of the time. Which is fair enough if you're getting the other side too. But I'm fed up being confronted by mohair-suited racists on television, overfed and underworked. They just come on and give you these lines about how shrewd Pakistanis are, how mean Jews are, how thick Irishmen are, how terrible mother-in-laws are, and how stupid women are.
Why do you think that continues? Because it always amazes me.
It's because they fit the time thing. They can give you 12 of these. They can do 2 minutes and 73 seconds when asked.
Yes.
But anybody with imagination can't do that because they tend to get involved in the story. Their imagination won't let them just trot out that stuff.
Have you always liked music, ever since you were a wee lad?
Yes, I have indeed. Yeah, I just liked it. You know, we were that kind of... I suppose like every other British family, we had a radio and we all had favourite tunes and we sang songs and your favourite one came on the radio every now and again and off you went. It was just lovely. Through everything, because my parents liked Mario Lanza. I was brought up by my father and 2 aunts. My 2 aunts loved Mario Lanza and Kenneth McKellar and K-Star and all those things and Lita Rosa and all those records. And I loved them too, as they did. And my father, for some reason, because he doesn't like country and western music today, but for some reason he loved Hank Williams. And he had all those MGM 78s with the big yellow labels. And that's where I got my love for acoustic guitar and that type of song and that kind of thing.
Have you ever wondered what they'll say about you in the papers when you pop off?
You know, I'd love to say I don't care, but I do care. They'll probably say a lot of naff things about me, I should imagine. Because they don't come and see me. This is the main thing. They don't know exactly what I do for a living. They only know little bits. And they don't know who I'm in love with. They only know airport photographs. They don't know how I feel about Daisy because they're never there when I'm with Daisy. Happily, they're never there. And all that. They don't know how I feel about my children, my life, my this and that. So I'd imagine they would say, because I think they're pretty limited. So I'd imagine they would say pretty naff things. Yes, because they say naff things most of the time, don't they? I don't see why they should suddenly change when I die. I would love them to, you know, as I'm pulled up Oxford Street with my 12 black horses with red plumes, you know, and there's 12,000 bagpipers playing the flowers of the forest, you know, a bigger turnout than the London Marathon, and they put me in my blazing ship and send me off down the Thames only to put the fire out.
You're very proud of being British, aren't you?
I am indeed. And when I'm in America and I'm watching, you know, the video channel on the MTV, and when the British ones come on, their videos are so far superior. Except for the one who does the cars in America is great. But the British guys, their ideas are so much more original, you know. And when they do a sort of spoof on Salvador Dali or something, it really is a good one. Whereas the American ones all tend to look a bit like comic books to me. You know, they go for the obvious a lot of the time. And I love the clothes and hair and all that. Britain is the young British guys now and the girls are getting so like the Teddy Boy. The Teddy Boys were my favourite because they were original from the shoes right to the hair. Everything. Shirt, tie, cufflinks, everything was different. The colour of the socks, the way they shaved their sides, the whole bit. Well, it's happening again. If you look at Howard Jones, for instance, it doesn't resemble anything you've ever seen before. Or little Nick Kershaw, any of those people, they look amazing, I think. They sound amazing. So they're not just, it's not just like look in the mirror and let's be peacocks. It's got a very solid base. And I love what they're doing. And let me tell you, America loves what's coming out of this country. They're very, very excited by it. And I only wish that Britain was as excited by it as America is. And get behind it. That's our legacy for the future. That's our youth talking. Listen to them. They've got a great deal to say.
Billy, it's been a great, great pleasure, and thank you very much.
It's been a smashing
for dropping
pleasure
in.
for me.